I think we need a break from the MCU.
Yeah, I need a break from some bad films.
What do you think?
Shall we watch Hellboy, Scott?
That's a good idea. I tell you what, let me go grab my notes from the Quantum Realm.
No,
stop!
Ah,
bollocks.
Shit. Fuck it, we do, babe.
Yeah, bollocks.
Welcome to The Good, The Great and The Logan X's Quantum Realm Side Season.
Hello guys, and welcome to a special edition of The Good, The Great and The Logan X. But this week we only have The Great.
That's me.
That is you.
That's DDV Comics guy, and now D3G Comics on Twitter, but also under the Nerdisms banner. And I will explain all that in a later day.
Yeah. And obviously me, Renegade Logan X, are the good part of the...
I think he's still in the Quantum Realm. Oh, we're getting some other time.
He's that small, he went, yeah. He's disappeared into the same realm as Ant-Man.
We don't tend to get him, but priorities, we wanted to watch Hellboy.
Yeah, we did want to watch Hellboy. So we did, and there's a reason that we watched Hellboy, because there is a new Hellboy coming out.
Yes, 2019 January.
There you go. So right at the beginning of next year. So we thought we'll go back and we'll watch the real-time films. That's not the right phrase.
Live action.
Live action, and the animated films as well. This episode is obviously going to be on your live action films, both Hellboy 1 and Hellboy 2 Golden Army.
Yeah.
Which we will go straight into now. Fuck it, let's talk about them. So Hellboy 1, Dan.
I'm going to do Scott's part as well. Come out 2004.
Did it?
Yes.
2004?
Yes, we are that old.
Jesus Christ.
I know, it's 14 years.
I can't believe that's 14 years ago. That's mad. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, come out 2004. Hellboy's first appearance in comics. He actually has 3 first appearances.
Ah, I know one of these. It's not actually a Hellboy comic, is it? It's
None
a
of
fucking
them are.
Magazine. If I'm right, it's a magazine,
Yes.
isn't it?
His first appearance in any form is on the front of Dime Press 4, an Italian fan magazine where he's grey
Yeah.
and he only has a belt that says Hellboy.
Yeah.
Second one is in San Diego Comic Con, magazine 2, where it's a black and white story, only a couple of pages, and his first proper comic appearance is in X-Men 21. And what makes this comic weirdly special is John Byrne was writing it, but to keep the consistency of Hellboy, Mignola only drew Hellboy's pages in the comics.
Oh,
So thereafter, the look is always the same.
fair enough. So that's the first comic that he gets his look from.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the one they've
Yeah.
stuck with throughout all the comics as such.
Yeah, and the comics are actually coming to an end in the next 6 months.
Why?
Well, Hellboy's always staged in real time.
Oh, so he's actually now...
When you see him in Seeds of Destruction in 1994,
Yeah.
that is set in 1994. Some of the stories go back and forth, but the current day ones are supposed to be in like an alternate time where the start of the end of the world, the apocalypse has happened, and if you read it, it's more covered in BPRD.
Right.
But Hellboy's coming back to do his last bits to hopefully stop that.
So he's going to try and go against his birthright as such, which is something that we will come to, which ties in nicely with the films. Good segue, Dan.
Well done.
So, because if I'm correct in saying, as I've been informed by you, the film focuses, especially this first one, focuses massively on the human element of Hellboy, as in it's not who you are, it's how you were raised that makes you who you are, and it's all about being a good person and learning to be a good person, that you don't have to go the route that was planned out for you, that there's always another route you can take, which is massively interesting, because as we found out through many films that we've watched, when you add a human element into that that's really deep, you normally end up with a good film. So what did you think of this one, of Hellboy 1?
Well, they immediately pandered to me, because the opening is pretty much straight out of the pages of Seeds of Destruction, the first Hellboy story.
Really?
There's a little tinkering with characters, because obviously some of the characters they put in the film...
Hollywood, isn't it?
Well,
Hollywood.
They use Hellboy characters, but some of them are from other comics.
Right.
But it goes, that's only in the opening thing. Like that kind of works for it for me. So I was like, you know what, I can dig it. It also borrows from Right Hand of Doom, obviously. Big right hand has quite a big meaning.
Yeah.
And I think there's a hint of box of evil, but it's only lightly touched upon. But
Yeah.
what they do kind of cleverly straight away, and as you notice as well, you get the little Hellboy comic reveal in the opening, so it
Yeah.
kind of explains that this is its own thing. It will borrow,
Yeah.
but it's not the same, because Hellboy in the film is subtly different to the comic.
Yeah. But not massively, I'm getting.
Now, Hellboy in the comic is a little more relaxed. Basically, like in the comics, he's been doing that for about 50 years, so I think he's made peace with who he is.
Yeah.
And this Hellboy,
Hellboy is in more or less a rebellious stage. He wants to be free. He doesn't want to do what everyone wants him to do. He just wants to be a normal person.
Yeah.
You can see he's massively struggling. He's almost a teenager,
And
which is
him-
what he's actually said in the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he's not actually like he's by this point he's supposed to be 70 or 60 something.
yeah. My favourite line, the age is in reverse dog years.
Reverse dog years. He's meant to be in his 60s, but because of how slow he ages, it probably works out that he's in his mid-teens, which is quite funny because he's got that sort of angry, like rebellious teen sort of thing going on, which we see in a couple of scenes in the film, like when he knows everything's gonna blow up. No, that's the second one, isn't it? He gets thrown out the window. No,
Yes.
yeah, second one. See, I'm getting ahead, but like where he just goes off by himself, he escapes. In the first one, turns his tracker off and buggers off to see.
But
To see
big
Liz.
departure from the comics to the films
Yeah,
is Hellboy and Liz have never been romantic.
really.
Anything, it's Kate Corrigan who's going to be a character in the new Hellboy film. Is the closest Hellboy's had to a romantic interest. Him and Liz are just like old friends.
Right, gotcha.
So-
Okay.
And Professor Broom
Yeah.
what actually dies
So
in like
is
the
that-
first 6 pages of the first Hellboy comic.
Oh, really? So he does die.
Yeah.
But he is the man that brought up Hellboy.
Yeah.
He brought him up, raised him like a normal kid, or as normal as you can for a bright red
Yeah.
got a thing with horns
Well,
and
from
tail.
someone who never planned to be a daddy, done the best job of being a daddy he could.
Yeah, which is also another really something now
Yeah.
that nowadays we can well,
Yeah.
me and you can both relate to.
Yeah.
So going back to the film, I hadn't watched this film in quite a while actually.
Same here.
Even though I actually really enjoyed it, there was no reason for me not to go back. I just, sometimes you end up watching a film on Sky or something like that because it just comes on. Hellboy hasn't been on for a long time. It's
No.
not really been on TV. It's not been on the airwaves. So I've never really gone back and watched it again.
Well, it's something we probably talk about with Hellboy 2. Hellboy 2, if it comes out in 2007, it's a much bigger film. If it comes out in 2009, it's a much bigger film. That summer it coming,
It's literally shrouded in fucking I was devastated by this film. It had no chance.
well, Hellboy 2, the first Hellboy didn't even make that much money though. Like compared to what you consider a blockbuster.
Really, it's gone. Give us a couple of stats on that. I bet you're trying to look them up now, aren't you? Or something down there, probably.
I can give you a Scott fact.
Give me a Scott fact.
The original actor they wanted for Hellboy
Yeah.
was Vin Diesel,
Fuck off.
and Mike Mignola and Del Toro were like, "No, we want Perlman. This is non-negotiable. If you don't do this, we are not making the film."
Perlman was a really good choice. I mean, even looking at some of the stats on Perlman, he didn't particularly enjoy being Hellboy, I don't believe.
I don't think any of them really. Well, he said like he'd get annoyed,
because
but
it was
he said a lot of there's 50 other guys who would take that job off him.
Yeah.
So
And
he
it was
embraced it.
It was the makeup and everything else though that pissed him off. But also, by the time the second one had come and gone, he just said, "I'm too old for this bullshit." Like getting into that shape.
Well, he trained with the Marines for months.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Or just trying to get this done?
5 months he trained with the Marines, and they said he'd often be training between takes.
That's crazy.
And the Smurf fact, this film cost $66 million to make and
That's
made
cheap as chips, though.
99.3. So it made a third on top of what it cost, which in 2004 times, for a Revolution Studios film, is not a bad bit.
Well, Revolution Studios, completely, if you really want to go into it, completely unheard of comic book. hero, sort of anti-hero, really. Do you know what I mean? He's completely unheard of. I didn't know a fucking thing about him when I watched it, and I consider myself.
Oh, this was my gateway in the comics.
It wasn't until you said to me about it, and I was like, oh, okay.
This and Batman Begins, that was what got me in, properly made me go in the comic shop and ask.
I feel like Hellboy 1 now, though.
It's a cult classic.
It's a cult classic. Yeah, it's one of those where it went in the cinema, didn't make a massive amount of money, come out, and then everyone watched it. It was everywhere, and people loved it.
It's DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's where they got their Hellboy 2, the go-ahead for Hellboy 2.
Well, in the olden days, to actually make that much money was good enough to make a
third on top?
Or like to make a second film, or a third film.
Really?
Yeah. It was... The Dark Knight changed the game. Massively.
Oh, right, because that was when you started getting the $1 billion films and stuff like that.
Another little Smurf Rider fact.
Yeah, go
on. Vin Diesel was also who they wanted. When they said they couldn't get him for Hellboy, they wanted him as Ape Sapien.
Ape Sapien? Really?
Yeah.
And that would have been awful.
Can you imagine?
That would have been awful, because Vin Diesel can't act.
For some reason, they really wanted Vin Diesel in Hellboy.
Vin Diesel can't act. He's a bad actor. He just stick to his Fast and Furious franchise and sucking himself off with XXX films
and saying I am Groot. That is like
that's it. That's what you should stick to.
Me and my wife said like his two best films to me are Guardians of the Galaxy, where he says one word repeatedly,
and Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
and The Iron Giant, where he has very few words.
Oh right, fair enough.
There's a thing with Vin Diesel, less is more.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. Less is more with Vin Diesel.
But this was a Del Toro passion project to get this made.
Yeah, you can tell as well, because in a recent film he made, that Shape of Water, very similar to Ape Sapien.
Yeah, but he's always loved these monster films. He's openly said it.
Yeah, so it makes sense to him to do. Hellboy was more of his sort of thing, because it had the monster element in there, demons and devils and demigods.
And he loves practical effects, and that shows. It shows more in the second film, because you can see where he's got more power.
Yeah.
But yeah, he loves his practical effects. But for me, this film was so brilliantly cast. You got
Hellman was fantastic in this film. I loved him, like how he acted. But one of the ones that stood out for me was actually his father. I don't know who played him. The guy who played Hellboy's father. So
John Hurt, isn't it?
That's it, John Hurt.
Sadly passed away.
He did, yeah, because he also done the voice of a dragon in Merlin, which I loved, and I loved Merlin. But yeah, John Hurt, fantastic in that film. Like
he's got my favourite line in that film.
But he's so like that role. He plays that role so well. Like, do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed Hellboy 1. I liked all around. It had the good twist of comedy on there. You know, like him sitting on top of the rooftop with the kid. Eating milk and cookies, do you know what I mean, and throwing stones at the FBI agent.
Something I loved about like the actor who voiced Abe Sapien in this was actually David Hyde Pierce from Frasier. And when he watched the film, he went, "Don't credit me." He went, "This is Doug Jones's performance." He went, "I shouldn't be credited in this film."
Right. Okay.
So for actors, like that's quite a big deal to actually acknowledge that you shouldn't be getting credit for playing a character when someone else is physically doing it.
So all he actually did was voiced it.
Yeah.
He voiced Abe Sapien.
Yeah.
And there was another actor that actually played the character.
Doug Jones voices him in the second.
I think you're right, and especially nowadays as technology's gone on, because if we look at one particular person who played both Gollum and
Mr.
Caesar, Andy Serkis has shown the whole world that just because you're not playing a human in a film, it don't mean shit. Because a lot of the acting can be done with body language. If you're a good actual actor, especially if you take on that role, then you can do anything like that. So yeah, that's really good from that film.
I loved John Hurt, like you said in this. Like, he's got my favourite line as well in the whole film, where he's explaining to the young agent, and he goes, "In the 1958 occult wars where Hitler died." He went, "Hitler died in 1944. Did he now?" I love that line. It's like one of my favourite lines in the whole thing.
It is really good because it adds a whole air of mystery around these films that you don't know about, because they don't even go back into it.
Yeah.
Like you could literally make a pre-Hellboy type films going from the end of the Second World War to.
Well, that's what they love doing in the comics.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So you never actually find out about that, but you're like, what does that mean?
But there's so many wonderful tips of the hat as well in like this, like Hellboy loving waffles and pancakes.
Yeah.
Like that. There was a
but
short.
Baby Ruth's isn't actually a real thing, is it?
It's a real bar in America.
No, I mean, but Baby Ruth's being
Hellboy's is pancakes.
Yeah, it's pancakes. That's
and there's
what I mean.
A whole thing where it comes in with it.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
Baby Ruth thing was added into
that's alright. We'll pay you to put.
Yeah, we'll pay you for if you like.
Have you ever tried a Baby Ruth?
Yeah, I love them.
Oh, they're bloody horrible.
Oh, I think they're fantastic. I think they're fantastic. It's just like a really sweet Snickers. I don't know how you can make a Snickers any
I don't
sweeter.
like Snickers.
Well, there you go. Then. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Hellboy 1. I've really enjoyed it. Going back and watching it, I enjoyed just going back to watch it.
This is me trying to be like, this is Dan's like, well, being a comic stroke film critic stroke podcast producer now, I thought that the Dan, who was much younger than he is now,
didn't appreciate it for what it was.
Yeah, I thought, oh no, I'm going to be watching it through more cynical, older eyes. But actually, I like it more as I've got older.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So
I connect with more of the smaller themes.
I'm along the same, and as I said to you at the beginning, I connected much more with this film as a father when I was, 16.
Does that make me 18?
Yeah, so when I was 16.
Oh.
Jesus.
No, 19.
Yeah, 19.
Oh,
so I'd have been 16,
Christ.
17, but I connected much more with this film now than what I would have, obviously.
I think it's a silly thing, like, this is neither of us are emo teens, let's just get this out, like, when you're younger, like, you're like, oh, I feel sorry for him. But when you get older, like, you understand the outsider part, and like with Liz and Hellboy, like, Liz has been there and has kind of been shunned by the outside world, while Hellboy hasn't been able to see the outside world and has this rose-tinted version of it, so I really like that. It's like a good flip.
It's almost Ninja Turtle-esque.
Anyway. But do you notice at the end that Doug Jones kind of disappears for about the last third? He's conveniently injured. Abe Sapien as like Doug Jones. Did you notice that?
No.
Well, it's because they run out of money.
Really? Where is he? He does the...
He fights the dogs, gets injured.
He's not in the whole last part of that film. He's missing for a whole third of that film, and I didn't even know.
It was costing so much money to keep doing the makeup and the effects. They literally kind of wrote him out. But that's how determined Mignola and Del Toro were to get this made. They just kind of run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this as a comic fan, it jumps in and out of Seeds of Destruction quite a bit. They nailed Liz. They mucked around with Tom Manning. Like in the comics, like him and Hellboy appreciate each other. They obviously play it a bit more for laughs in this.
Yeah.
But overall, I just really, it was like quite a happy sit down, rewatch it again. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it, like I say, and along the same lines as you, which is really funny actually that we both picked up on the same point, where you did feel a lot closer to this film. I don't even know. I don't know whether you want to maybe give it a score or anything like that.
Oh god, yeah, I gave it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say. I mean, we could try and score them, but ultimately, what I want to say is, no matter what happens with this new Hellboy that's coming out, this one will always be my first Hellboy film, and it'll always be a good film, and it's well worth watching. If you've never seen Hellboy, go and watch it, because Ron Perlman gives a good performance, the Abe Sapien performance in it, John Hurt in it, everyone's really good.
If you want a really good night in, go get Hellboy Seeds of Destruction.
Yeah.
Go get Right Hand of Doom, read them, order a pizza, and then sit down and watch this film.
Really?
It'll be like a great Hellboy night for you.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, no, good. So that's a good plan. So, Dan, on that note, what did you give number one?
I gave it I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Did you really?
Yeah, I really liked it. That's hard for me to give a film a 7.
I was about to say, you don't normally go much above a 6 with most films. Yeah. I've actually gone one higher than you. I consider it an 8. I've really, really enjoyed watching this film. Like, it was definitely... I could definitely watch this as much as I could watch Iron Man, 4.
Yeah.
Do you know, any of those films? I could rewatch any of those films. For the rewatchability,
especially with superheroes.
it's got to be an 8.
especially superheroes, it depends what mood you're in. And if you want something that's a bit more
This isn't
occult,
superhero. What I'm saying is this is sort of an anti. He's not a hero. Do you know? He isn't.
he
isn't.
strives
It's-
to be a hero because that's part of the haircut, the
Yeah.
old samurai Ronin.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like someone who's would be classed as a superhero who is a hero,
Yeah.
but he's more like an occult hero. It's just it's all the weird things I love.
But well worth watching, and just between me and Dan, that's got higher than a lot of films that we've already reviewed.
Yes.
just with just the two of us. So that was number 1. Yeah. So then we'll just go straight on to number 2.
Yeah, no adverts this
No
time.
adverts this time. We're just going to throw it in there. We're just going to. It's only a short episode anyway, so let's do it. So number 2, as a continuation. Now number 2 was doomed from the start almost, because the release date they had for it, they didn't know when they started making it, obviously, but they never knew that they were going to pretty much doom themselves by sticking it where they did.
Yeah.
Now, I did go and see Hellboy Golden Army,
We saw a preview of it
and we did see a preview of it.
10 long years ago.
Oh, Jesus. But I really, once again, watching this film, I think they stuck very, very well to the actual like sort of core of the film. What they carried it on very well, even though I'm assuming they had more money, most probably.
Yes, they had about 90 million,
Right, which
and it
is
made
about
120.
So it's about 30 odd million more.
Yeah.
They only made 120 because of where it come out. Once
Well,
again.
no one was expecting The Dark Knight to make $1 billion, and no one was expecting Iron Man to make $500 million.
Yeah.
So this should have just been like this one had done its thing. It waited 4 years.
That's
like,
what I mean, yeah. So you had Iron Man on one side of it,
Yeah,
and
because
you had the Dark Knight on the other side, and they went, fuck it, we'll release it right there.
this is how unlucky they were. That they.
Leave it. You're
It's
such
like
a-
we can
you're
hear
such a
Smurf.
nightmare. It's like, oh shit, he's appeared from the quantum realm. How's Ant-Man?
Hello.
What happened?
Well, we're going to continue talking about this. You just, I don't know, can't you just go back into the quantum realm? So shrink yourself down again.
No, Scott, come back.
Yeah. Like you say, it was almost doomed without them knowing it from the outset. But I don't think it suffered at all. Going into the second one, I honestly don't think.
It's like Smurfs in this room.
I honestly don't think that there was a massive, like, they didn't lose anything going into the second
No.
one for me. I had no real problem with the continuation of the characters. They kept it very good and how it was.
Well, to say how unlucky this film was, you know the reason it took 4 years is the original studio making it went bankrupt. So they had to sell the rights again, find someone else to distribute it, and then it finally came out.
Fuck that.
But I love
But
it.
and then when they did bring it out, they stuck it in bang in between Iron Man and the Dark Knight.
So like everyone,
It was never.
if there was
It was
ever a
never
moment
going
of
to go
hero
anywhere.
fatigue,
We've got a tiny person smiling on the fucking chair here. It was just doomed. It was never going to go anywhere, was it? People were always going to choose these two films.
and the worst
before
thing it had as well, like it makes a profit, it does well and everything. But now everyone's looking and going, well, no, I'm expecting like £500 billion like action superhero
And-
flicks now.
And this is where it kicked off. And it actually leads nicely into another episode that we're going to go into. But it literally, it almost took superhero films to a whole new dimension. Because, like you said, Hellboy 1 made 30 odd million and then made a lot of money on Blu-rays and DVDs and the rest of it become a bit of a cult classic.
That's what's happened with this
But
Hellboy
that,
2.
but that was like, yeah, we've done really well here. We've made 30 million. In today's estimations, if your film only makes 30 million, you're getting fired.
There was a point in Hollywood,
hell.
and it was the director of Batman and Robin said he always remembers the producer turning around and saying to him, he said, I need to do reshoots, this film isn't going to be good enough. And he went, why are you worrying? He goes, we'll make 100 million at the cinema, regardless of what it makes, and we make $300 million on toys. What one's more important? That was the old Hollywood thing with a blockbuster. You'd make more on the merch than you would on the film. They didn't.
Yeah. Whereas now it's the complete opposite way around.
That was the turning point in the summer where people were like, yeah, like Golden Army's made like 40 million. yeah, that's good. Like, that's a decent thing. it hasn't made like 5-10 times what it costs.
I always want to do a 4 voice here. Purely God. Do you know what I mean? It's just you compare it to now. It's just like even thinking about any film only making 30 million, you're like, well, that's got to be an Oscar film because no one went to see it. That's a dig. You know what I mean? But they're the sort of films that make around that sort of money, like the smaller films that are worth, like the small sort of indie films and stuff like that.
And I love that we got John Hurt back at the start. Just anything with John Hurt, makes me
John
smile.
Hurt once again. I mean, that's a knock to the whole. The whole industry suffered when people like him die. The whole industry suffers because do you know what? Just to say about John Hurt, if you actually look back for his filmography, he's been in fucking everything. He's done voices, TV, films. He's everywhere. He's been in all these different ones. You don't even realise that voice is so like recognisable now, isn't it?
But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, they didn't try to cast Vin Diesel in this one.
They didn't try and cast Vin Diesel in this one. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Same actor for Abe.
Yes, and he voiced it this time.
I actually voiced it, so it was a different voice this time.
And the villain, brackets, because is he really a villain? That's the whole point of the film.
Once again, it's one of those films where you can actually feel sorry and associate with the bad guy, like one of the as from the MCU films. One of the films that's got the highest rating from all of us is the one where they made the villain of the film very human. Which was Spider-Man 2, and they've done it exactly the same in this one. You cannot escape the fact that what you actually feel for this bad guy is you just feel massively sorry for him. At the same time as...
I've got another Smurf fact for you about this film.
Go for it, Smurf.
The woman in it who Abe's fallen in love with, for about 20% of the shots, she was 8 months pregnant.
Really?
Yes.
So is that why they always shot her from the front?
Yeah, at certain points there's reasons why they do it. She was 8 months pregnant.
But they always shoot her from that's why they do it from the front. She's always sort of standing head on, so you can't see any sort of bump.
But that villain,
cinematography.
We recognised him from another Del Toro film. He was a villain in Blade 2 as well. So Del Toro has a thing about putting makeup on this guy and using him as a villain. Did you notice that, Mr. Logan?
Del Toro done what?
It's the same villain from Blade 2. Under all the makeup, that's the same guy from Bros.
Hold on. Fucking hell, no, I didn't notice that at all.
Same guy.
Oh, well, so he likes... Yeah, you can see it now. Yeah, he is. It does. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I didn't realise that at all.
But yeah, as a comic fan, great thing about this for me, wasn't based on any comics, so I didn't have to sit there and judge it.
Oh, it was completely off on its own. So there was no Golden
Magnolia come up
Army.
with the idea. Del Toro come up with the idea. They spoke to Magnolia a bit, and they went, "Let's just do something original." Because as far as Magnolia was concerned, this is Del Toro's version of Hellboy. He writes his own version, Magnolia.
Oh, so he actually gave Del Toro...
Yeah, he done his occasional bit when they go, "What do you think?" He's like, "Well, I'd do this, I'd do that," but he took a more step back,
which is quite good, really, for someone considering it was his.
Well, Del Toro films are Del Toro film, and that's fully what this is, like practical effects everywhere, which is great.
Once again, did you enjoy going back and watching it just as much or more?
Slightly more.
Really?
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5 because DDD Comics Guy fact, and you should remember this.
Go on.
There is a song from this by Barry Manilow, which was the first dance at my wedding, and it was the first song I ever danced to with my future wife.
Is it that one?
Yeah, I still remember. December 2008, she came round mine to watch a film, and it ended up with us two dancing to that song in the credits. And then 5 years after that, we ended up dancing to it at our wedding.
That was still one of the best nights I've ever had.
Thank you, pretty good for me too.
Still one of the best nights I've ever had.
But, yeah, scores wise, I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. I liked it slightly more than the original. You actually liked it
more than the original?
Well, they have a bit more money, a bit more colour.
And you're not judging it as much because it's an original film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Didn't have any difference in these two films. Like, I didn't differ. I enjoyed them both exactly the same. I think they're both well worth watching. especially if you're like me and you just seem to like really random films that nobody else likes. But I'm sort of middle of the road. I've really enjoyed watching these films. Both of them were as good as each other, and neither one of them sort of ramped off for me. They're just good fun films to watch, good action films, and I think everyone should go out there and watch them at least once, and probably read the comic books that Dan suggested earlier on that relate to Hellboy 1 before they go and watch the new one that's coming out next year. I think it's well worth watching to see what was originally done, because at least then you've got a comparison. Because the worst thing for me would be if this new film come out and it was fucking awful.
Oh no, this one's more like the comics. This is a sole tidbit I know. It's slightly darker, slightly more leaning that way, which I think would be good, because you don't want a remake of what you've just seen. You want something that's different.
Oh, of course you don't. I just don't want it to be I don't want it to be worse.
Oh no,
either. It has to be better. They do have a bar there. They have a cult classic bar there, so they need to take that from cult classic to big screen movie. So it's going to be difficult now.
But are you going to score it before we finish?
I will.
You beat around the bush.
No, I said it's exactly the same as the first one. I'm
an
going to get it's going to get an 8. There was no difference in these five. I enjoyed them and loved them both as much as each other. So both of those films have scored higher than a lot of the MCU ones we've watched previously to this, and that's only with the two of us.
You know what? Should we go? It feels like Smurf Rider's been in a room once or twice during this. But should we go into the quantum realm and find him, or should we watch some DC animated films?
Do you know what? I think we should maybe watch some Hellboy animated films.
What a good idea! Why don't we do both?
We'll do that then. Fuck him, leave him in the quantum realm.
Yeah, bollocks.
And on that note, see you later, guys.
See ya.
For the next episode of the Hellboy animated films, where we carry on the Quantum Realm side season.